Hi, my name is Erin Ramirez, and I'm a member of the Change Readiness team here at Amentum. This is our first episode of Tuesday Change Thoughts, which is a series of about 5-minute videos or so, 5 minutes or so videos. They'll be released weekly on Tuesdays. And the goals of the videos are to share about change at Amentum, share about thoughts around change, increase change capabilities of people here at Amentum, and to support managers who are dealing with changes and supporting their people through changes, and to also just begin to engage one another in conversation around what it means to be change ready. And so I invite you that if this type of information inspires you or interests you, feel free to use it in your own work, but also feel free to reach out to me. I'd be glad to speak more with you. Well, first I'll introduce myself and then I'll introduce more about change readiness here. Again, I'm Erin and I work on the change readiness team. I'm an organizational scientist, which I know is a bit of a weird title. And so I'll tell you a bit about what that is and how I got into the career field. So an organizational scientist is someone who's looking at the organization from a more scientific perspective. But my niche is really in organizational change. And what I love about organizational change is that we've got the technical sides of change, where a change is happening and we've got all of the pieces, all of the components that go into those changes. But as we probably know, people are typically engaged in change as well. And so the people side is the one that's pretty complex. The technical pieces can be complex too, but the people have stories and emotions and a lot of other elements that they bring to the table. And so this really makes up a beautiful and complex and interesting career choice. But I didn't always want to be an organizational scientist. In fact, I didn't know what it was until I was well into my career. I was working for a place that was undergoing a lot of change. It was not Amentum, though I know Amentum's going through a lot of change as well. But this particular place was going through a reorganization in the coming months. There were going to be job changes. There were going to be technical changes where some of the technology itself would be changing. Some of our funding was going to be changed. And so I really knew that the way in which I worked would likely be changing, and I was uncertain about what that meant for me and had a lot of anxiety around that. And so in an effort to determine some next steps, I went to a course on purpose to better understand, well, what is my purpose and how do I use it at work? Thinking that that might lead me down a path of, better understanding and maybe less anxiety. And in the course, I was trying to figure out what my purpose was. And the instructor asked me, "What do you complain about the most?" So I thought about that, and the thing that came to my mind quite instantly was all of the changes happening at work. I feel excluded from them. I feel left out and not engaged. I'm anxious about them and have a lot of emotions around them. I don't feel like I'm receiving the communication I need. And so that really lit a fire in me because she challenged me by saying, well, what can you do about that? And so from there, I set out on a path to help support people through organizational change. And so I shifted my career from that moment on. And I also pursued a degree in organizational psychology, which is the study of human behavior in the workplace. And I know that's a bit odd, again, to bring up organizational psychology because it's another weird term. But it's really about blending, it's a STEM field, so the science, the evidence, the research around change, and then the people side where we've got stories and emotions and just kind of the oddities that come with working with people and being able to blend them together to be both a mix of a science and an art. And so it's really a fascinating career field and one that I'm very passionate about. So again, I've been at Amentum for about a year, and I'm working on the change readiness team. And as a member of the change readiness team, we're a very small but mighty team. We work on kind of two buckets of work. The first bucket of work is to support structured, intentional, planned changes that are happening. And those changes are typically large in scale and longer. And so it might be a 6-month or a 1-year change where maybe we're implementing a new database or building a new technology or changing a pay schedule for a group of people over a long period of time. And so these types of changes come through the Enterprise Program Management Office. And I work with the teams to understand the people impacts and to see how we can better support people through those changes, through engagement, communication, training. Well, on the other side, in the other bucket, we've got just kind of generalized changes that are happening. So here at Amentum, we do have many large planned changes, but just the realities of being in our modern day world, we've got many just smaller changes that are constantly happening, right? There might be a shift schedule change, or a customer has a different need, or a new policy update, or the role might change a little bit. And those kinds of changes too can fill up our glass and kind of make us feel saturated with change, right? And we become oversaturated with change. And so how do we help people to be more capable around change and more competent around change, so it doesn't feel so overwhelming every time there's a change? And so that's one of the reasons why I'm starting the Tuesday Change Thoughts, in an effort to make sure that people are able to learn about change and that we can begin some dialogues around change. So today, as I log off, I'm going to invite you to answer a question for yourself. I'm going to ask that same question I was asked many years ago. What do you complain about the most? And with whatever you think about, what can you do about that today? And if it's related to organizational change, feel free to reach out. I'd love to have some conversation with you. And if it's related to something else, that's fine too. I hope that you can find a way to make an impact there as well. Thank you for tuning in, and looking forward to continuing on this journey with you.